You're walking through a tropical fruit market, and you're suddenly drawn to clusters of yellow-brown fruits that look like tiny potatoes stuck together into a fake bunch of grapes. The vendors call them Lanzones. Behind that not-so-pretty skin are glossy segments, translucent like jelly. They're juicy, gently sweet, with a clean little tartness. The flavor is so distinct, you keep reaching for another. So what exactly is Lanzones? And where does it come from? By the end of this video, you'll understand it clearly, the benefits it offers, and you'll pocket a way to pick great Lanzones in 5 seconds. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. One fruit, many names. To answer that, we start with the most official version of a fruit, its scientific name. Lanzones is known as Lansium domesticum, and it grows on a tall tropical tree in the mahogany family, the same family people associate with valuable timber and polished wood. But the name you hear depends on where your feet are standing. In the Philippines, most people say Lanzones. In parts of Malaysia and Indonesia, you'll hear Langsat or duku. In Thailand, a popular sweet, easy-to-peel variety is often called longkong. Different names, same species, plus regional variations shaped by climate, local preference, and generations of growers selecting what tastes best in their corner of the world. And that's the first quiet truth about Lanzones. It isn't just a fruit. It's a fruit that has been adopted. Once something is adopted, it starts traveling through ports, markets, and hands that trade more than just goods. How a seasonal fruit became a signal. Long before supermarkets and refrigerated trucks, Lanzones lived the way most tropical fruit lived, close to home. Trees were planted for families, for neighbors, for local markets that ran on rhythm and season. Over time, the fruit moved outward. Southeast Asia has always been a region of exchange boats, crossing narrow seas, traders carrying spices, textiles, dried fish, and, inevitably, living plants and seeds. A fruit that tasted this clean and sweet didn't stay private for long. Names shifted as it crossed borders, pronunciations bent. New varieties were favored. Some places valued thin skin that peeled easily. Others cared more about sweetness or about fruit that shipped without bruising. And then culture did what culture always does. It turned a harvest into a signal. In parts of the Philippines, Lanzones isn't only something you eat, it's something you recognize. When it arrives, it announces a season. It tells you what month it is without a calendar. In some communities, that recognition becomes celebration parades, music, dancing, and piles of fruit at the center of the street. Not because the fruit is rare in the world, but because it is rare in time. And the reason people celebrate becomes obvious the moment you hold one in your hand and open it. The moment it turns into jelly. A cluster of Lanzones looks humble, almost confusing. Each fruit is about the size of a large grape or a small plum, gathered tightly like it's trying to imitate a bunch of grapes, except the colors are earthier, the skin duller, the shape slightly awkward. Then you peel it. The skin is thin and a little leathery, but it gives way with your fingertips. It doesn't fight you. It simply splits, and suddenly the fruit changes categories. Outside, it looked like something starchy. Inside, it looks like light. You see segments glossy, translucent, almost glassy like tiny bulbs of jelly. Some people say they resemble garlic cloves, and they do, but only in shape. In every other way, they feel like the opposite of garlic. Sweet, gentle, inviting. The texture is tender and juicy, never heavy. The sweetness is quiet, not candy-like. Then comes the clean tartness, like a soft squeeze of citrus that keeps everything awake. And if you hit a segment with a seed, you might taste a faint bitterness. It's not a flaw so much as a reminder. This fruit is alive. It has structure. It has parts you accept and parts you spit out without drama. That balance, sweet, tart, occasionally bitter, is what makes you keep going. Your hand doesn't want to stop peeling. When a fruit makes you reach for one more, people don't keep it as a private pleasure. They build ways to eat it beyond the raw moment. How people stretch the season. The purest way to eat lanzones is still the simplest: fresh off the cluster, peeled by hand, eaten in the heat of the day. It's a fruit designed for markets and sidewalks, for standing and talking, for fingers that get a little sticky. But seasons are short, and humans hate short seasons. So the next step is always preservation, transformation, invention. You'll find lanzones turned into syrups and jams, baked into tarts, folded into desserts, spun into sorbet, even fermented into wine in some places. Those versions don't replace the fresh fruit. They extend it like trying to keep a little sun in a jar. And there's an interesting twist in how some cooks think about it. Lanzones isn't only sweet, it carries that tart edge, and sometimes a deeper, darker note depending on ripeness. Used carefully, it can act like a gentle souring agent, an accent that lifts a savory dish instead of turning it into dessert. That's what good ingredients do. They refuse to stay in one role. Of course, once a fruit becomes popular, another question follows right behind. Is it good for you, or is it just good? Benefits, beliefs, and old habits. Lanzones isn't marketed like a modern miracle food, and that's part of its charm. It doesn't need a headline to be useful. Nutritionally, it's relatively light, low in calories, with dietary fiber that supports digestion. It also offers small amounts of vitamins. Often cited are vitamin C, plus some B vitamins that help your body convert food into energy, and a bit of vitamin A. It also contains natural antioxidants, the kinds of compounds plants make to protect themselves, and that our bodies can use to help handle oxidative stress. But the more revealing story might be what people did with the fruit before nutrition labels existed. In different communities, parts of the plant peel, bark, seeds show up in folk practices. Crushed seeds have been used in traditional deworming remedies. Dried skins have been burned as a simple insect repellent. Modern clinical research doesn't always back these uses in a clean, definitive way. But that isn't the point. The point is that people paid attention. They lived close enough to the plant to notice patterns, to experiment, to pass down what seemed to work. Folk medicine is, in a way, a record of long observation written in habit instead of paper. And observation leads to the biggest pattern of all. You can't observe lanzones year-round because it doesn't show up year-round. Why it disappears. If you're used to modern produce aisles, it's easy to think fruit is a constant. Bananas are always there. Apples behave like they were invented to be available. Lanzones refuses that illusion. In much of Southeast Asia, its peak season tends to land around the later part of the year, often September to November, though exact timing shifts with climate and region. For a brief window, markets brighten with clusters. The fruit becomes common enough that you stop staring. Then the window closes, and suddenly, it's gone. That disappearance is not a marketing trick. It's the natural contract between a plant and its environment. Flowering, fruiting, ripening, these happen on schedules older than packaging. You can influence them, but you can't erase them. And that's why lanzones taste like more than flavor. It tastes like timing. When something is not always available, you treat it differently. You don't assume you can buy it next week. You eat it like it matters, because you know the season is leaving. That's the strange psychology of seasonal fruit. It teaches you to pay attention without giving a lecture. Which brings us to the practical part, because attention is great, but you still want to pick a good cluster. The 5-second rule. How to choose the sweet ones. Here's the 5-second rule at the market. Touch. Choose fruits that give slightly under gentle pressure, firm, but not hard like stones. Smell. Look for a sweet aroma. If it smells like nothing, it will often taste like nothing. Look. Avoid clusters that are very green, which can be sharply sour, and avoid fruits that are overly soft or heavily spotted, which may be past their best. That's it. 3 signals, 5 seconds, and a much better chance your first bite tastes like the version you'll want to chase. And once you've picked the right cluster, the rest of the story is the quiet part you feel more than you explain. The taste of not always having it. Back in that tropical market, Lanzones still looks a little plain from the outside, yellow-brown, modest, almost easy to ignore. But you know better now. You know what's hiding under the skin. Those translucent segments, that gentle sweetness, that clean tartness that keeps your hand moving. You also know where it comes from. Not just on a map, but in the way it travels through language. How one fruit can carry many names and still be the same fruit in your palm. And maybe the most important thing you know is why it feels special, because it doesn't belong to every day. Lanzones is a seasonal fruit, and seasonality is a kind of honesty. It says, some things are better when they arrive, and better still when they leave. Not because we enjoy loss, but because leaving proves the moment was real. So the next time you spot that fake bunch of grapes made of tiny potatoes, don't just think, what is that? Think, this is the part of the year when this exists. And then peel one. Eat slowly. Let the sweetness pass, let the tartness wake up your mouth, and notice the simple thrill of tasting something that time will take away again. Because sometimes the secret of a simple thing is not what it is. It's when it is. If you've ever tried Lanzones, what do you call it where you live? Lanzones, Langsat, Duku, or Longkong? And do you like it best, fresh off the cluster, or in a dessert? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, simple foods with hidden histories, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.